MV don't fuck with Trump like that, but MV got good reason, right? But then you look and you say, well, why are you saying you pro-Trump and you ain't got not one post that's supporting Trump, right? That's the way it go. But I just wanted to let that publicly be known. I told y'all to back away from me if y'all, I'm I'm about to be going at it. I'm gonna go at it for real, like for real. And that's because I feel like if we say we're truthers and people are trying to put stuff out there that's not true, or they're in organized groups and trying to throw slugs, like I said plastic patriots, motherfucker. I said plastic patriots. And you know who I'm talking to. You plastic ass motherfucker. You want me to put in the title? I'll put in the title real quick. Hold on. Dude, I'm from Texas. I don't give a fuck. Plastic patriot. Hold on. Motherfucker. Think I'm playing? Patriots. Motherfucker got mad because I said plastic patriot. You are. You try to pretend you with the movement so we can so you can camouflage, right? But we see you, all of you. So go ahead and go to war. Go ahead, bring your big account ass in here and face the people. Face the real people. We ain't got that many bots in here. They got bots to whom? They got bots in their shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
They
we've
got
been
big
doing
mouths.
this
They got
from
bots.
30 people, bro. 30 people. Now it's at 530. 2.5 years later, speaking the exact same language that we've been speaking. And you know what? To back what you just said, you've been keeping it cordial, bro. You know, when Destiny crosses the line, bro, from what I read between her and Alpha, and then when you were back and forth from a month ago or a few months ago, and you made the bet, you were being nice, you were being cordial, and then what Alpha did in his expert ways is he exposes, because you don't cross the line like that. You don't bring kids into this shit. I'm a father. You don't fucking do that shit. So, Alpha, keep being a gentleman, bro. A Patriot, we'll tell Alpha straight, bro. When Patriot and Turtle started doing these spaces, and then MV, and then I came in, Alpha wasn't around, right, Patriot? And then we're like, oh, who's this Alpha? Who's this guy? And like any researcher, we're gonna do our research, and we're gonna not scrutinize. It's late over here where I'm at, Alpha. Forgive me, lack of better words right now. But I'm gonna look into Alpha. I'm gonna go on his timeline, and like how you joke, you say make a note. I'm gonna remember what you say, and then more we listen to you, more I listen, and then you come in, more and more, and now you're part of the crew, and you're a level-headed guy. They say judge us by our closest six. Well, I'll say it right now. I'm glad to have Alpha as the closest six when we do these spaces. That's someone I want in the circle. And I know he feels the same way about us, Patriot. And that's just being real. When I heard the last lady speak, bro, yeah, you're emotional. And that's understandable. But like Alpha says, I take notes. I got a memory like an elephant. I recall her in a space, well, I think it was with Maze or talking highly of like Nick Fuentes. I'm like, Nick Fuentes? What the fuck? And then you in here talking like this, which is like contradictory to what you're saying. So just remember, like, people are listening to hypocrisy. And when go on someone's timeline and you're saying, Lord and Jesus is my king, and that's cool, you could do what you want. Just remember, you can't do that in Yemen. So when you putting down USA, even though you're allowed on your timeline, your pin post is talking about Lord the Savior. You cannot do that in Yemen because, well, I'm not going to go there. But you can't do that over there. Bottom line. So that's what I wanted to say, Patriot.
And I just want to continue real quick. I see the room got a little bigger when I started talking. Make your motherfucking self known for the people in here, fam. Quit hiding and camouflaging behind your fake ass following with your bots. Make yourself fucking known. Go comment in the comment section real quick. so people can see you real quick, right? Go make yourself known real quick, because I know y'all on y'all dummy accounts in this motherfucker. Soon as I started talking this shit, the room went up, right? So I know you in here. So understand, I don't say the word plastic patriots lightly. I mean, you're plastic because you're elastic and you're fucking fake, bro. You try to pretend, hey, like Trump, Trump, Trump. And then when we say something to call you out, you say, well, you can't expect everybody to be on Trump's side and we got an opinion. Yeah, that's true. But why every fucking time I turn around, you trying to put down the Trump administration with your facts not in a row. These same people tried to argue about the anti-Semitism executive order without reading the motherfucker. Do you hear me? They didn't read it. And they was trying to argue. And I unmuted. I'm like, hey, are y'all talking about this executive order? And when I started reading it, they were like clueless. And I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So make yourself known. If whoever y'all see me barking at in the next couple days, that's who the fuck I'm talking about. And I haven't winning nobody on here. I haven't winning nobody on here yet.
The thing you see right now, Patriot, is they know they can't argue on facts, so they tried to make it an emotional discussion. I'll be straight out. If I had to jump in front of a bullet for a Yemenese little kid, I would do it. Guess what? I would also do it for a little Israeli kid. And guess what? I would also do it for a little Mexican kid, a little Russian kid. I'd put my life on the line for any kid. So you can try to make it about hate all you want, but it's not going to work. War is ugly. I'm also going to be very transparent. If bombs are being dropped and I got to choose between my kid and your kid, I'm choosing my kid 100% of the time. I guess what? When the choice involves my kid, then all everything goes out the window. I don't care about morals and ethics and all that. It's preservation of my bloodline. And guess what? You should feel that same way about you too. So when I say America first, I say that with the expectation that every other country out there feels that same way about their country. That's the way it should be. But that's what I'm saying. If you're an American and you find yourself struggling to say, I'll support America in a war, even if the basis for that conversation is you don't agree with it, because that's fine. I think most people would not agree with wars right now. But if you find yourself in a war, even a war you disagree with, but you can't side with your country, there's a huge issue going on there that needs to be looked at. And a lot of people right now are saying, "Oh, I told you this, I told you that." It's plain and simple, you guys. And I'm speaking to Americans specifically in here. If you're America first, you're America first. Trump doesn't get to wave a wand and all of a sudden we have instant US sovereignty when we're talking about a century or not longer of infiltration. It is going to take time. And not all of that is going to look like a checkers board on how he makes those decisions. Of course, it's going to be covert operations and overt operations. That's the way it looks. That's just common sense. But a lot of people on this app, chaos agents, pretenders, or patriots, new word that I got to start using, plastic patriots. I like that one. Um, they know that a lot of people are exhausted right now. They're tired right now. They've taken losses and they exploit that to make this an emotional discussion, not a logical discussion. And I can just tell her, there's a decent sized group here today. Welcome to information warfare. There's a battle for your cognitive mind right now. Don't trust me. Don't trust Patriot. Don't trust anybody out there. Vet all the information you hear. And when you're done vetting that information, you're going to realize who told you the truth and who lied. And for the record, if somebody's already been proven to lie to their friends, you, and strangers, you may want to think when they're telling you, but believe me this time.
And just to show you motherfuckers in the tunnels real quick what support look like, let me show you what support look like. Give everybody emoji give me an emoji real quick if you support Patriot, Storm, Alpha Warrior. Just give me an emoji real quick if you can hear my voice. I want y'all.
What's good? I go by Osiris, and the channel is to be named later, formerly known as Middle Maga. And I have another channel, After Show Carnage. I am actually pretty excited to do this live. This is kind of a learning session for me. I know a little bit of what's going on just because I've been covering it, and I figured out the audiobook thing, and what it is actually I'm using Perplexity. Actually recommended a long time ago from great friend of the show, Cyan. Cyan, I did go live a little bit early from the 11. I pushed it back. I was running late, so I appreciate it. My apologies. But I am able to listen to the Perplexity AI breakdowns and the Chat GPT breakdowns, and it's just amazing, man. It's just really great stuff. I don't need to go to like Politico or anything like that. I can tell it, weight the article, the deep dive with Politico or whatever angle, and I can listen to that. So now I'm doing a little bit of learning and research and putting together pieces, and it takes some time. And we're going to talk about Yemen here, and it's way bigger than that, but it doesn't make me happy to talk about this, a battle, whatever you want to call it. I call it war. Some people are not. This battle, 10,000 miles away from me, I hate having to talk about that, but in order to talk about the larger picture, and my interest here is Israel, you can't ignore it. You can't talk about Israel without talking about Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all of the countries over there. You can't talk about Israel without the whole lay of the land spelled out for you. Here's just a little news hit on what the topic will be, and we'll get right into it. This is via Luke Radowski.
Assets hit dozens of Houthi targets in Yemen, including missiles, radar, drones, and air defense systems. The airstrikes were carried out by fighter jets in the northern Red Sea, this less than 2 weeks after the president signed an executive order redesignating the Houthis a foreign terrorist organization. For more now, let's bring in ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy, and ABC's Perry Russum from our Washington bureau. Mick, I want to start with you. What's the latest on these strikes as we hear one U.S. official telling our Pentagon reporter that the administration is characterizing today's attacks as an opening shot against the Houthis and also sending a strong message to Iran?
That's right, Morgan. I think many expected this. The Trump administration had signaled that they were going to take a much heavier hand against the Houthis from their attacks on commercial vessels in the Red Sea and also U.S. military assets. And I think today was that substantial attack. Dozens and dozens of targets hit, as you mentioned, by F-18s, specifically coming off the USS Harry Truman. And I think this was also, as you mentioned, a signal to the Iranians. They're trying to get them to come to the table to talk about potentially a new agreement on nuclear weapons, and they haven't shown any interest. So this might be both, one, to mitigate the threat from the Houthis, and also to send that message.
And Mick, let's put a pin on that, and let's go to Perry really quickly, because President Trump now posting on his social media platform a message to the Houthis, warning that if the attacks don't stop, quote, hell will rain down on you like nothing you have seen before. What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, strong words from President Trump, not just for the Houthis, but Iran as well, with Trump saying their support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately, saying if they do not, America will hold you accountable. Then back to the Houthis, Trump says the U.S. will use overwhelming lethal force until we have achieved our objective, which leads to the question of how long these attacks will go on, Morgan.
Well, Mick, to Perry's point, tell us what you know about the Houthis' threats in recent days to resume targeting ships related to Israel in the Red Sea, as we've seen after Israel continued to block aid in Gaza. We know that there have been more than 100 attacks on vessels in the Red Sea since the October 7th attack, and this is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. I mean, kind of put it in perspective for us. What's at stake here?
Sure, yes. So the Houthis do claim it's in response to the the recent issues in Gaza, but I can point out that even before the war started in Gaza, the Houthis were doing many of these same things. It's just now grown very intense. And a lot of the world's energy, about 40%, comes out of this region, mostly going to the Indo-Pacific. So this is something that the world should care about because it seriously disrupts commercial traffic, which of course is how we carry energy around the world.
So let's take a look at the statement from Donald Trump to start this off. Donald Trump said, "Today I have ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They've waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones." Somehow Joe Biden came up. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. It has been over a year since a U.S.-flagged commercial ship safely sailed through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, or the Gulf of Aden. The last American warship to go through the Red Sea 4 months ago was attacked by the Houthis over a dozen times. Funded by Iran, the Houthi thugs have fired missiles at U.S. aircraft and targeted our troops and allies. These relentless assaults have cost the U.S. and world economy many billions of dollars, while at the same time putting innocent lives at risk. The Houthi attack on American vessels will not be tolerated. We will use overwhelming lethal force until we have achieved our objective. The Houthis have choked off shipping in one of the most important waterways of the world, grinding vast swaths of global commerce to a halt and attacking the core principle of freedom of navigation upon which international trade and commerce depends. Our brave warfighters are right now carrying out aerial attacks on the terrorist bases, leaders, and missile defenses to protect American shipping, air, and naval assets, and to restore navigational freedom. No terrorist force will stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world. We're about to get to all caps. We got the all caps Trump back. To all Houthi terrorists, your time is up and your attacks must stop starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before. To Iran, support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately. Do not threaten the American people, their president, who has received one of the largest mandates in presidential history, or worldwide shipping lanes. If you do, beware, because America will hold you fully accountable, and we won't be nice about it. Trump via Truth Social today, March 15th. There's a lot there in that message. We're going to start unpacking it. I'm going to get into the chat. We'll get started. RWB Fact Check says, first off, no targets of the Houthis were actually hit. Second, Trump is not anti-war. Fuck him. I am done defending him, and I am done voting Republican forever. And that's kind of where my energy is as well. I'll get into a little bit of what we know of. This is the fog of war. I can only go by these sources. But what the sources are saying, what actually hit, who is actually being unlived, innocent civilians is what it looks like in some part, but we'll look at that in more in depth. Trump is not anti-war, and I have to say I was wrong about that. I actually went back and forth with the great Caitlin Johnstone, who I've always liked, never disliked, and I do want to, before I get into this, give her a shout out because we did have quite a bit of a back and forth. It wasn't like ugly or anything like that, but I mean, people have blocked me for much less, and I have a lot of respect for her. And I don't know why she didn't. I know she's quick to block people, but she's on the left. And I don't know if it's still, the videos are still up. And we were going back and forth on China. That was my China arc. I'm on my Israel arc. This is like season 5 of, what's the name of the show that I love? The Showtime show. God, the one with the blonde woman, whatever. Homeland. This is season 5 of Homeland. Now I'm gonna have to change the name of the show. Now we're doing an offshoot. And in season 2 of Homeland, or whatever you want to, well, when it was called Middle MAGA, I was on my China arc, and people really, I think people who really wanted to, maybe saw something in me, like Craig Pasta. Shout out, much respect to Craig Pasta. He didn't want to. He had me on his show, and it wasn't on some stupid debate type stuff. It was like, let's talk about it. He was like, hey, he had enough respect to have me on the show and say, hey, let's talk through it. And that's when I started turning a little bit, talking to him. And I later on, I don't think I've like apologized to Caitlin Johnstone, but I've been at her and said, hey, you were absolutely right. But she's been in the game. I'm new in this game. I don't know all this stuff, and I'm just thinking through it. And Israel is much more of a threat to America than China is. Cyan, $5 super chat says, easy to pick a fight with someone who can't fight back on equal footing. With someone who can, like Russia, we use a proxy instead. Cyan's like, this is telling. This big bad America, neocon MAGAs in the building. Officer, it's not war, it's just a couple missiles, or I don't know if it's bombs, or it's just a couple people killed, it's not war. That's where we are, the neocon MAGA. And Cyan saying that's easy to be neocon MAGA when you're dealing with one of the poorest countries in the world. That's when you got your chest pumped up and puffed out. Do you want to put your life at risk? And I don't know how much of a risk this is, at least if it stays localized with the band of pirates, but it's still war. I'm not going out on the sea for what? There are many other things, if you are America first, that you can do to leverage power if you want to get through the Suez Canal. Well, one of them is, how much money are we giving Egypt? I broke down part of the protection for Israel is all the money to Egypt, in part, and Jordan and other countries. And then on top of that, aren't we paying Egypt money for access to the Suez Canal? I looked that up to make sure I'm accurate. We'll go over that potentially if we have time. That's my understanding, that we're paying them money for access to the Suez Canal. So if I'm paying you money to get access to a certain neighborhood, but then I can't go through it because the neighborhood's too rough, well, then I'm going to stop paying you money. Oh, we can't do that because if we stop paying Egypt money, who gets hurt by that? The tiny hats, Israel, the Jews, the Jewish ethno-state gets hurt by that. Every single path, again, that's why your favorite influencer doesn't have answers, because it takes you there. Tucker Carlson, I heard him today, talking about, well, with World War II, how many people died and what did we get out of it? He's like, I know this is going to get clipped, but it's a legitimate question. So when you get to kind of going to the answer of these things, and Tucker is, even though I have problems with him still, he is getting to an answer more than many others right now. And notice a lot of people are trying to ostracize him. The closer he gets to answers, They liked him a lot better when he was on Fox and he was just doing the tranny stuff or whatever, the rainbow stuff, the stuff we used to do all the time, all that cornball ass right-wing nonsense. The fake right wing is basically this Con Inc. nonsense. Daily Wire can't stop talking about trannies. Nancy Mace can't stop talking about trannies or whatever you want to call them, males dressed up as women. And my take is, if you want to do that, that's fine. I never really had beef with that, as long as you don't try to force me to do anything. But they try to make it about that, because when you don't, then you start digging and you start looking behind the curtain. And every time you look behind the curtain, there's someone with a bigger nose there. And I have a wide nose, basically coming from Africa. They've got the protruding nose, not the wide. You don't see many wide nose when you look like Wizard of Oz and you look behind the curtain. It's not like this. It's not like a wide nose. See, this is a wide nose. When you look behind the curtain, you see like that gonzo nose. We've seen a lot of gonzo noses. And now it's like, okay, this is a pattern. And I'm not sugarcoating it. We're going straight at it and talk to me about it. Why is this happening? Well, how has MAGA become neocon? Is it shekels? How is this happening? And you heard a little bit, I played this Twitter space. It was a neocon-led Twitter space. But Cyan, we're on the same page again. Appreciate you for the $5 super chat. Let's go back to the beginning here and what we're going to see. Let me go and see if I can I'm just going to put something up on the screen here. And I'm going to go through the kind of the details of today, and then I'm going to pull up a map. Well, let me pull up a map now. We need to know what we're talking about. Where are these countries? I want to know exactly where we're talking about right now. Let's start with Yemen. How many miles away is Yemen from me? I think it's 10,000 miles from me. Let's see how many miles Yemen is from me. It's 8,000 damn miles. Yemen is 8,000 damn miles away from me. And not to say that I want to be in a bubble that it can't be of some importance, but we have to make sure that that's clear. It is pretty far away. Let's look at this map here, see how this goes. And then I'm just going to have it up on the screen. Let's see. Oh, no, that map didn't even turn out right. Let me look for a different one. Sorry. Let's look at this one for right now. The region here, Saudi Arabia is over there. We gave them a heads up from the reading that I saw today. So we're talking about this is where the Gulf of Aden is, the Red Sea. I mean, why don't I just pull up Google Maps? I mean, this is lame. Let me just pull up Google Maps. Let me play some background music. This is OMA. Man, I love this group right now. The OMA drummer is sick. I don't need all that. Layers, terrain. Oh, I don't mind the mountains. I don't need. Do they have traffic data? Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. And we're back. So let's take a look at it. Yemen's right here, right east of Sudan, basically, Gulf of Aden, and then you get into it. You get into it, you see the Suez Canal, and you can see strategically, this is the, and let me see if it's showing well here. It's hard to see, but if you're watching the video, but it's basically a podcast. So Gulf of Aden, just listen to me, just follow me here. I don't know how to pronounce this, but this is where the bombing is going on. Let me look at my notes here. This is Sanya. Somebody, I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sanya in Yemen. Never heard of it in my life until today. Smoke rises over Sanya. I don't know if it's Sanya, yeah. You could do a whole kind of mixtape of me just mispronouncing everything. I remember when I didn't know how to pronounce Jack Posovic's name, Reuters. When I first started doing this channel, I didn't know how to pronounce Reuters. That was embarrassing. I didn't know how to pronounce Jack Posovic, Reuters, a whole bunch of stuff. Smoke rises over Sanya, Yemen. Let's just say Yemen, but this Sanya place right here on the west side of Yemen, and it looks kind of mountainous over there, more than I realized. So smoke rises over there after airstrikes on Houthi-held areas today on March 15th. That's according to the AP. Late on March 15th, the United States launched a series of airstrikes against Iran-backed Houthi rebels. I am doing this via ChatGPT, Deep Research, which is it. Deep Research. I'm doing free promos for them. The ChatGPT Deep Research is by far the best out of all the AI platforms that I'm aware of, and I'd used all the major ones. It basically turns any topic you want into a Wikipedia article without the. Well, you can do it however you want. You can tell it whatever sources to prioritize. It's amazing. So it's Reuters in here, Times of Israel. So I have trusted sources in here, that's from YouTube standpoint. YouTube is banning people, by the way, before I get back to the story. I mean, not banning, demonetizing. I have had 2 people chat me and say they got their channel demonetized for this exact topic. Now, their title, their title had more, it was more about being against the U.S., and they're more from the left side or libertarian side. And my channel right now is monetized, but I don't get many views. But this topic is. I bring this up to say this topic is very sensitive right now. 2 people told me that they got demonetized after a video, got the email. So that could happen here. Gulf of Aden, and then Sanya. I'm just gonna call it Sanya because it sounds good. It sounds better to me. And I have no respect for these regions anyway. They launched the airstrikes, and this is it's not a proxy against Iran, I would say, but it is Iran-backed Houthi rebels. And I wonder about this, how much the Ukraine-Russia war plays a role in this. Because I did a video a while back where I forgot the name of the guy who who kind of took over for Queen Jean-Pierre because she was struggling, helped her out. Was it John Kirby, I believe? I forget his name. He said that the end of the rope of Ukraine's money, that was last year in 2024. He said something to the effect of, we're coming near the end of the rope. He's not a decision maker. Somebody told him that. And I think there are pressures. My theory is, and we'll see if I can get to this, but I do have notes on this. My theory is that Israel wants the Ukraine and Russia war extended. There's too many beneficial reasons for Israel to want the Ukraine and Russia war to be extended. And I'll potentially go over that, but because that war is going on, America, Ukraine, and Europe are all going to Israel to pay them to get drones and intel and tech and all that. Israel's trying out tech in the war, literally on the battlefield while Ukrainian men are dying. They're being kind of like test dummies, almost like you're playing a war game and you're just practicing. Oh, it doesn't matter if I kill the men I have because I'm just practicing. No, they do that with real people. And Ukrainian men, if you don't have the ability to step up and stop your government from putting you in white vans and having you go onto a battlefield to get unlived by a little DJI drone, then that's life. But you see the benefit of Israel and America working, in my opinion, for Israel. Why they would want the Ukraine war to continue. It's not just about the Ukraine war. It's really just keeping Russia occupied. Russia is an ally of Iran. Iran is backing the Houthi rebels. So the more you can get Russia backed and using their manufacturing to fight Ukraine, the less they're going to help Iran, even though Iran's got, I have to look into that. It looked like Iran was leaning heavily on Russia for the drones, if I'm not mistaken, or I forget if it was vice versa. I have to double check that again. But their relationship is important, Russia and Iran. And Israel doesn't want to piss off Russia because they're not directly pissing off Russia, but they want, in my opinion, I think it's clear they want the Ukraine war to continue on. And I'm sidetracking a little bit, but I'll get back to this in a second. That could be, I don't know why these neocon influencers are getting swatted. I don't buy the leftist thing. I don't think leftists care about cat turd enough, and I don't want cat turds swatted. And we're just on a different side of this stuff. I no beef with y'all. I know I called y'all maggots, anybody who's still riding with Trump, but hey, I called y'all maggots, but no beef. No beef, you're just a maggot. Just larva. Is larva a little bit more nicer? Can I call you larva? Like nasty white larva on a carcass and still be cool with you? Is that possible? Well, take it how it is, but that's where we are. But I don't want any harm done to anyone, so I don't want to see swatting and all that kind of stuff. If you don't know, swatting is when somebody calls in and says there's something going on at this person's house, and the police come through, door knocking, whatever, and they could have weapons drawn because they think something bad is happening in the house. Really weird how we allow a system where someone can just lie about that. And Trump's president, how long is that going to happen? See, you see how I'm looking at all this? I'm looking at Yemen. I'm looking at Yemen being backed by Iran. I'm looking at the U.S. needing, and Trump still sending weapons to Ukraine. Don't buy all this, oh, I want the war to end. No, he's still sending weapons to Ukraine. If you wanted the war to end, you wouldn't be sending Ukraine weapons. Why are you doing that? That's where Hunter Biden, Robert Biden was all over. I'm not going to get I'm getting way sidetracked. But why would Trump have interest in protecting Ukraine? Remember that whole big show at the White House? And I'm looking at that. I think the show at the White House with J.D. Vance was more him trying to get into the limelight. Elon Musk is basically almost more president than Trump, definitely more vice president than J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance is like, well, I need to get into the limelight. Let me come up on this little man right here real quick. That's my take on that crash out with the little sunflower man. And I think it was just to get into the press. And then that changed the news cycle too. So that was a smart move by J.D. Vance. He's very savvy. But you see where I'm saying that. And then all these neocon podcasters, I mean, nobody really cares about them other than the right. Like people like, I guess like you could call me on the right to kind of go at them because they're like neocons. The left doesn't care about cat turd. There's no movement for the left to go after. I don't know what's going on. I just don't buy it that it's some leftist that's calling in the swatting. You see where I'm going? All of the neocons, they support Israel. All of them support this Yemen nonsense. They support dropping bombs in Ethiopia, wherever. I mean, we're all over the place now. Trump is just full-blown war. They support all that. But they don't support the Ukraine war. That's interesting. A lot of it looked like every single one of the neocons that got swatted does not support the Ukraine war. Who does support the Ukraine war, though? I think Israel does. So I'm looking at it, connecting the dots, and that's, and I know Tim Pool fans and Tim Pool himself and everybody else, and you could be right. I'm not going to even question it. I could have what you could call Israel derangement syndrome. But I just take the truth where it goes. You saying that I have that, if you might say that, and me even speculating about it, doesn't change that math, whether it's true or not. I don't know if it's true, but that math adds up. If I'm playing a game of chess, those are moves that could have been made. Israel has plenty of interest to have the Ukraine war going. They're getting paid off of it. They're distracting Russia without even having to be directly distracting Russia from Iran. Iran's their main concern right now. So if that war stops, Russia full blown can focus on helping Iran against them and Iran against the Houthis. And then all of the podcasters who got swatted were all anti-Ukraine. It would be ironic, wouldn't it? The Star of David people, the ones that they all push, basically the binder adjacent, the empty binder of nothing burgerness. It would be ironic if Israel was, let's just say, you know where I'm going. I don't even want to say it out loud. Cyan says, let me go look at the chat real quick. Cyan says Russia does buy drones from Iran. Yes. Does it go both ways? So Russia, what does Russia makes the I forget. I gotta look it up. I did a live about Russia's better at manufacturing certain things. Iran's better. They're both better than the US at dollar per drone type of manufacturing. So Russia's buying drones from Iran. If Russia's not occupied, Russia's helping Iran. Right now, Russia's occupied. Russia got drones from basically NATO. I mean, it's basically NATO at this point. So Russia, they're kind of soft to me as far as where they're at. I don't want anything to pop off, but you basically have NATO dropping. This is all relevant to the Yemen thing, at least now. And then that doesn't even count the history of Yemen and Saudi Arabia and all that. So yeah, that's it. Cyan says, you're not the only one with Israel derangement syndrome. Yeah, because there's a lot of noticing. And I tell these people, I mean, I used to be cool with a lot of these, like Ron Coleman. I have no beef with Ron Coleman. And it's not, I'm not doing any qualification game stuff. But I got no beef with Ron Coleman. And I don't even see his tweets anymore. I used to subscribe to him. Still like him. And Yossi, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Gettinger or something like that. I saw him on Tim Pool. I've always liked him. And we're in a different space now because obviously he's Jewish and he's very a Zionist. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say I have an Israel derangement syndrome. And what I tell these people, and no one's answered this, is like, if you want to cure the syndrome, answer these damn questions in a way that makes sense. No, if I have these questions and you say that it's anti-Semitic, that's not helping in Israel derangement syndrome. And it's very clear that the goal is not to help the syndrome. The goal is to get you locked up. Cyan and I were joking, and I don't want to bring this. I think you can bring, in a way, you can somewhat will stuff into happening. I don't want to will this into happening, but we're seeing the chessboard. Yeah, we could be up in the paddy wagon together. Who knows? Israel is not playing games. I might get into that later. We'll see. So much to get into. I don't know if I'll be able to. Iran buys the air-to-air defense batteries. So you see that? You see the relationship? How that, and Iran buys the air-to-air defense batteries. And then Russia's like, well, we might need them now. Or, I don't know the details there, but if they're occupied, that helps Israel. It just has to. Okay, Noel, what's up? Long time no chat. Great to see you. Says it's so evil. Why are we always doing Israel's bidding? Sad face. Yeah. K Noel has always got great takes. Great to see you. Thank you. I think a lot of it comes down to money. But the easy thing is shekels. Shekels go to the top influencers. All of them are Zionist. There was a discussion today about all the big right-wing podcasts. Every single one of them is Zionist. So you just break them off money. You don't even have to do it directly. You just have to make it known that if you go against Israel, that's why, I always bring up Tim Pool, but that's why Tim is scared to bring up Israel, and you can see it. He stutters. You can't hide it. That's what happened when he was on with Ye. The reason is if he doesn't have the right take, it's not even that you always get the shekels. It's that you'll lose the shekels. He wouldn't get a Rumble deal if he had gone against Israel. And it's easy for me to say that. I want to make sure I'm fair. I'm not changing my take, but it's easy for me to say, Tim, look, you're dancing for shekels when he's got a skate park to take care of. He has bigger goals. He's worked his ass off the whole time to become big and bring in this money. And he's got mouths to feed. He's got bills to pay. That's easy for me to say. I don't have any of that. I don't have any staff, no property, nothing associated with the channel. So it's easy for me to say. But that doesn't make it less true. But we could do a whole side note on that. Thanks, K. Noel. Keith Ward, we'll just go through the comments right now, and then I'll get to the topics. We'll just keep flowing. Keith Ward, money and leverage, like those files that remain hidden. Those files remain hidden, and I am looking at Trump. I don't want to hear anything about a damn Pam Bondi. This is on Trump 100%. And I'm not saying, obviously, against you, Keith. I'm just extending your comment. I agree completely. Extending your comment, I don't want to hear a damn thing about Pam Bondi. This is on Trump. And it makes me wonder, what does Trump have to hide? At the very least, he's hiding it for other people. Clearly. That information from Jeffrey and the island. Mike has bad knees. Says being mad at Israel is a waste of time. The ones to question are those who are taking the bribes. I have to think about that. Is it a waste of time? Well, it's no more. I think you can argue that. I think it's no more a waste of time than talking about Yemen, though. And they have so much power in our politics. At some point, yeah, I think it is. I'm still new in this. I'm a baby crawling around. Just like I used to talk about critical race theory all the time. My takes on critical race theory have not changed, I don't believe. No, they haven't changed. I don't think I've changed any take. I just haven't talked about it because I've moved on. And maybe that will happen with the Israel topic. But there is something that is in me innately that if somebody tells me this is something that I'm not allowed to talk about, and I think there's legitimate conversation to be had, and a lot of people aren't having it, it just makes me want to have the conversation. But I think what I'm taking away from Mike Has Bad Knees is I think it has to evolve at some point. I'm still very new in this. We looked at a video just from a little bit over a year ago where I said I had no beef with Israel. Well, that's changed. That's just a year. That's not really a long time. So we'll see where I am a year from now. But yeah, I just have to think about right now I'm just looking at the potential moves that are being made. And I think the next step here for me is, and I've already kind of felt it, is I always come back to this working with the left type of thing. And I want to even, like I talked about MAGA communism, I almost don't want to phrase it like that. It's almost like we're redefining allies and non-allies. There's a lot of people on the left that, again, it's only race and rainbows we really disagree on that's really harsh. And I don't hear them talking about race and rainbows a lot. I don't hear them talking about it right now. I'm talking about certain people, not the whack ones like Emma Vigeland or whatever. Not that I totally don't like her and Sam Cedar, but they still talk about the race and rainbows. I'm talking about, of course, your Revolutionary Blackout Network, your Craig Pasta. He was never bad on the race and rainbows. Your Nico House. I haven't really seen Nico House talk about. Watch, as soon as I say that, they start talking about race more. But I even talked a little bit, not talked, but just a couple back and forth with Nick, who I respect a lot, from not Fuentes, Nick. Well, I respect Nick Fuentes, but I'm talking about Nick Cruz from Revolutionary Blackout Network. And he was like, he was talking about blacks And I was like, bruh, it's Israel. And, maybe in the past he might have crashed out and I never been disrespectful at him. Maybe he would have crashed out or blocked her. And I mean, it's potentially, but he didn't. He had the conversation. We left it kind of at a disagreement, but that's where it's going, Mike. I think it's going towards, um, Comrade Misty on the left to Fiorella Isabel on the left saying, I know we really clash on the race stuff. I got it. And I know you don't like Nick Fuentes, but, he's good here. And they're seeing that, I think. So I actually, that's very optimistic to me. The kind of like they're crashing out on MAGA and they see there's a lot of people who used to be MAGA or wants to rep the real MAGA crashing out on MAGA. That's the real reason why I use the MAGettes. That's the real reason why I'm calling the neocon MAGA, the neo MAGA maggots, is because the MAGA branding is pure. I want to keep that pure, even though I'm dropping it. If you're real MAGA, I like that you're real MAGA. But I think they see it. I've seen them talking about it. They're like, wait, we're seeing people on the right kind of crash out on Trump. There are some. And what that is kind of inching closer to, okay, I don't know what that looks like, what that means, but we are in solid agreement. I think the next barrier beyond that is to drop this connotation with communism and Marxism. You haven't heard me talk like communism and Marxism in like a overt, like scary or negative way, probably in a very long time. Because that's not where I'm at. So I think that's fair. They kind of maybe drop the race a little bit or don't get as sensitive when we bring up race, on the other side. And then I think the right, and Nick has talked about that too, like when they bring up communism and Marxism, don't be as sensitive. I like that. I like where that's heading. So you have kind of new boundaries, new borders being built right now that don't have anything to do with your traditional left or right. I know people have said that a lot, but that's where this being mad at Israel, I think, will go. And I respect the comment. Mike has bad knees. It's got to be productive. It's not going to be just nose jokes. It's not going to be just that. We're going to have that. But it's going to be something else. It's got to branch out beyond that. Mike has bad knees says Israel is working in his best interest. That's what they're supposed to do. Well, I've got to work in my best interest too, though. And that's going to be against Israel. That's why Israel's best interests are against the First Amendment, against the principles of the First Amendment. We talked about the the visa green card issue. I got passport on my mind. I'm going to be taking a trip at some point. But the green card visa issue, people said, well, Trump has the right to do it. And I just reply with, do you support it or not? That's why Israel has their best interest. That is Zionism. Their best interest in mind over your life, you breathing, is their best interest over you breathing. And yeah, and I've got my best. So I'm Americanism. What do you want to call it? We need a word for it. I'm Americanism. There's Zionism. I'm Americanism. We're not going to be able to. I'm fine with working something out, to be honest with you. I always said, as long as you stay true to the Bill of Rights, then we might be able to. I don't know what that means, but I wouldn't be necessarily against you. I am not that tied to. I know this sounds bad. I'm not that tied to even the innocent women and children dying over there. There's innocent women and children dying all over the world. There's innocent women and children dying in the urban areas in every part of this country right now. They're still a part of the country. I'm not against necessarily innocent women and children dying. My priority is the Bill of Rights, America here. If you can help secure that, if you can give a digital Bill of Rights here, then I'm willing to trade that for something, just, in a hypothetical manner. So that's why I'm opposed to Israel. That's not how they work. Either you support the preservation of Jews in Israel above your own life or death, above your own uncle getting offed, or you don't. That's how they view things. They are savage to a degree that is hard to put in words. Keith Ward says, and indeed with Tim, it seems to have always ducked the demonetized topics, which is, hey, you make a lot of money. You got to protect yourself. Yep. And I never had a problem with that. I never really had a problem with that and I wouldn't have a problem with it with Israel either if he just didn't lie about it. If I have I've done that on the Kit channel where I'm like, I don't want to get into that. I'm not in the mood to try and get demonetized today. Well, that doesn't happen anymore because you go ahead and demonetize. But I don't even have a problem with that. If Tim were to be like, yeah, there's some concerns with Israel, but I'm in this. I got a business to protect, man. That's what the blacks do. Many of the blacks, they come straight out. That's what Charlemagne the God said. Charlemagne the God went viral for an old clip from years ago where he was like, you don't mess with them. Don't mess with the hats. You're going to mess around and not have a job. He was like, the hats run the record labels. Everybody knows that. We all know. Everybody knows this. It's nothing new. It's nothing really even shocking. So I respect that. I at least respect that you say, hey, I'm not messing with this. But when you come in and you've got somebody on your show and they're making good points about Israel, and instead of you saying, hey, just like you say when somebody says unliving people and stuff like that, we can't say that on here, then why don't you say that about Israel too? Because he wants to keep his credibility, I think is what it is. But all he has to do is say, hey, yeah, I hear where you're coming from, but on this show I don't talk about that country because they'll smack me down. Maybe they'll smack you down for admitting that they'll smack you down. That's probably why he can't do it. That's how messed up how much power they've got. Keith says, gets brave with terms of service allowances, but will toe the line till then. Yeah. Yeah, well, yep. And then he would lose everything, even on Rumble, where you can have more freedom. He'll cuss, but he won't crash out on Israel. $5 super chat, Cyan, appreciate you, says Trump is now using the Alien Enemies Act of 1778, intended under a congressionally declared war, not a presidential emergency. Unprecedented move. And I've seen, even though that it is unprecedented, I've seen courts, things are getting really sloppy right now. I think, isn't this the one where the federal judge overturned it? If you missed hearing that, the news is Cyan says Trump is now using, and I heard this as well today, Trump is now using this old act. I mean, why are we letting these things keep on going? That's the big problem. He's using the Alien Enemies Act of 1778. Wow. Let's go and do a breakdown of that, and we've got some stuff in the news on it. And we got a good surface touch of Yemen. I have a whole bunch of notes to go deeper, but I just want to keep the flow going. Let's just flow wherever it goes. Yeah, this is true. This is true. This has been a hot topic. It was actually 1798, but it's a series of laws aimed at controlling non-citizens during wartime. And this is where Cyan and I came with, I believe Cyan gave me this article. Is this the one you gave me? Oh, no. That was a different one. That was the one Cyan gave me was the Jews ratting out people in America for they don't like them. Let's get to that. We'll get to that one too. But the Aliens Enemy Act is really a part of the Alien and Sedition Acts enacted in 1798. So this law here, basically, it's almost like a wartime law where it's almost like martial law in a way. It's almost like, hey, we're in war. We can curtail speech and stuff. It's getting closer to that. All signs point to that. And I don't think Trump gives a damn about the I think he does, but not as much as the right. He doesn't care about the anti-Semitic left as he cares about, in their words, the anti-Semitic right. That's the one he can get at the anti-Semitic left all day. Because he's got all kind of, that's why he keeps saying I have a mandate. What's more difficult is he doesn't like, politicians don't forget things. Nick Fuentes and the Groypers did Groyper War II. They've been getting at him. After the election, they got Nick had the Your Body, My Choice. Oh, just coincidentally, somebody showed up to his house and unalived him. I don't have any proof that's tied into anything, but that's a hell of a coincidence that somebody just tried. The docs of his address just stayed up for millions of views. Coincidence. And somebody tried to unalive him. A coincidence. After him and the Groypers have dominated the news cycle. Ton of Groypers banned from X. Just banned. Just completely banned the whole group, basically. Let one person back, and they got like about 9, I think, 8 to 10 of them banned. They were dominating the internet, still dominating the internet. Went against the wife jack. I mean, just countless stuff. Still doing stuff. The JD Vance, to my knowledge, if there are any Groypers in the building right now, let me know. The first people I saw doing the JD Vance memes were the Groypers during Groyper War II. And it got to the point where JD Vance had to tweet a JD Vance meme. So, I mean, it's all. I'm bringing this up. I want to make sure I tie this back. There's a reason why I went on that side. No. Why it matters the Groypers have dominated the news cycle since the election day. All basically against Trump. And remember, Trump wasn't happy about getting ambushed at the dinner with Ye and Nick. So Susie Wiles, all of them want to get back at Nick. The goal of Trump is to get at the anti-Semitic right. All signs point to that. Just like the Patriot Act the goal was to get to domestic issues, not necessarily foreign. Trump is doing the same thing. And while he's working, basically, he's just on his knees for Israel, just getting dog walked. Not by Netanyahu, by Israel and Jews. Not Netanyahu. I don't do the Netanyahu nonsense. You hear people saying Netanyahu instead of Israel and Jews because it's a Jewish state. They're on some games to me. And there's even people I respect that do that. Like, I think Common Dave Smith maybe, and Ian Carroll did that. No, I don't want to hear anything about Netanyahu. All signs point to them controlling Trump and Trump trying to get at the anti-Semitic right. Getting them in handcuffs, in my opinion, wherever you can take it. Because they've been the one going at JD Vance. You think they like the JD Vance fat face memes? You think they're laughing at that? You think JD Vance and Peter Thiel, who backed JD Vance, you think he's happy about that? How that's piercing through? It pierced through so much. My wife was on Instagram Reels, and they had that game where it's like 1 million JD Vance fat face memes, and you press pause, and it's like, which one are you today? Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. Did that start from the Groypers? It's absolute domination. And Israel doesn't like that. The Jews don't like that. The Zionists don't like that. So that means Trump doesn't like that. Peter Thiel, the gay technocrat, dominating, authoritarian, baby buying, fake libertarian, disgusting billionaires, they don't like that. You think they care about the left? No. They're going after the right. So let's get to this Aliens Enemies Act. The Alien Enemies Act emerged from a particular moment of national anxiety. I'm doing this via Perplexity. Actually, History Colorado is the source here. As historian Gordon S. Wood noted, the Federalist-controlled Congress enacted these laws in what would prove to be a disastrous mistake and I don't know the his. I'm just reading this, so I have to study it to get. I don't even have a take at this point. I'm just really learning it. The act authorized the president to detain, relocate, or deport enemy aliens during times of declared war. Any single time we have these emergencies, if there's war, it only incentivizes the politicians to go to war more, as if they're not already incentivized enough. If I go to war, then I can do the Aliens Enemies Act. Oh, then we're at war. Does Congress have to approve it? No, it's authorized use of military force. But when I want to use emergencies, well, we're kind of at war. We're in a trade war. Congress doesn't have to approve the tariffs. Oh, we're at war. We can do these emergency acts. Unlike its companion laws, the Alien Enemies Act received bipartisan support. I'm assuming they're talking about 1798, as it appeared to be reasonable wartime precaution. Currently, the Enemies Act of 1798 is still in force in modified form and authorizes the president to detain, as we said, relocate or deport. Notes the Densho Encyclopedia showing the longevity of this legislation. Legislation should automatically expire after a while. It's like milk. You bought that milk 3 months ago. It's not good anymore. You're going to have to buy some. If you really still need milk, you're going to have to go buy some more. That's how we should set it up. Elon Musk himself said that on with Lex Friedman. I do a lot of, I haven't as much recently, but I've, going back to all the way until he bought Twitter, I damn near listened to every single interview of Elon Musk. And I still would do it now from a different lens, but I just haven't. For whatever reason. Just too much to get into. So it's still in force. The irony of the Alien Enemies Act's creation lies in the fact that it was never used during the conflict that inspired it. As History Colorado explains, since war was never officially declared against France, the Alien Enemies Act was never enforced. Donald Trump, evoked or enacted this Aliens Enemies Act from 1798 that was never used during the wartime that inspired it in the first place. I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong. I didn't say that. The question is, do you support it? Because that's totally irrelevant from, is it legal or not? Is it constitutional or not? I think it's unconstitutional, but I'm not blaming Trump. He's using all the powers he can. The problem is he's using them for the hats, not for you. He's bringing in Tesla cars to the White House. Who's that for? It's not for you. His Secretary of Health and Human Resources is saying that it's difficult to breathe. I'm paraphrasing. If you don't support Israel, you might have problems living. You're not going to be healthy. He's not doing that for you. He's bombing Yemen. He's going to claim that it's for you. We'll see if I get to that. My retort to that. Maybe we'll do it after this. The law would stay dormant, waiting for future crises to awaken its powers. I love that line. That looks like it was just from Perplexity. That's a dope line. The tool of war and fear. The Aliens Enemies Act has been invoked. Okay, I used the wrong word. I said evoked. Invoked during 3 major conflicts. I think I'm dumber because of AI. People have talked about that. If you use it a lot, it doesn't matter if you say evoked, it will fix it for you. So I don't even care. My spelling is just atrocious too. During 3 major conflicts in American history, each time raising questions about civil liberties. War of 1812 was the first test. World War I. Woodrow, look at that. Look who used it in World War I. Oh, wow. James Madison used it. Oh, man. I'm a big James Madison fan. I did not realize that. When America, let's go back to 1812. When America found itself at war with Great Britain in 1812, the president I've spoken more as a founding father. President James Madison, an author of the Bill of Rights, James Madison became the first commander-in-chief to invoke the act. British nationals in America suddenly faced suspicion, hostility, and restrictions. Though the measures were relatively limited compared to later applications, they established a troubling precedent. Yeah, nobody's perfect. I don't know enough about that to make a definitive take, but it doesn't sound good for somebody I've largely praised. But look at Woodrow Wilson, someone who I have not praised often or ever. Well, I have praised him. He was smart, but evil. As America entered the First World War in 1917, President Woodrow Wilson turned to the Alien Enemies Act to impose controls on German nationals. Initially targeting men, the restrictions later expanded to include women and Austrian nationals as well. His regulations were extensive. The regulations included prohibitions on entering sensitive areas, mandatory registration with the police or U.S. postmasters, and limits on owning signaling devices, radios, and firearms. German nationals were also subject to surveillance. More than 10,000 were arrested and investigated, with most being paroled. World War II, the darkest chapter after Pearl Harbor. So you can see Trump and his legal team or whoever's around him saying, yeah, we can invoke this for Israel. Let me take a break for a second. My voice is messed up. My throat kind of feels sore. So let me take a little break. I'm going to look at the comments here that we'll get to. So let's look at the angle. People say, well, if you look at the map, thanks as always for the super chat, Cyan. If you look at the map, you're looking up on the Red Sea, and people are saying, hey, how are we supposed to handle things if we can't get through here? We have to go all the way around. Here's the Suez Canal here. I believe it's here. Let me zoom in more, but you have to go all the way around the southern tip of Africa, to my knowledge, making goods more expensive. So they said, isn't that where the canal is? Is it that long? But that's the whole debate there. So the debate is, if we don't bomb Yemen, then we're going to have problems there. We haven't been able to go through there safely in over a year. So after I come back, I'll read some comments and then I'll talk about, and not going to be long, just a couple seconds here, and read some comments and then come back and talk about, well, what are the realistic alternatives to that? You know, my steez.
Lucas Tomlinson is at the White House for us with the latest on those strikes. Lucas.
John, these are the most significant airstrikes since President Trump returned to the White House, and the first time U.S. jets have struck these Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen since President Trump returned to the White House. U.S. officials say F-18 Super Hornets from the flight deck of the USS Harry S. Truman were the vanguard of the strikes, along with Air Force fighter jets and drones. President Trump announcing the strikes just a few minutes ago on his Truth Social, saying, quote, today I have ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. And John, recall, it was just days after taking office, one of President Trump's first executive orders was redesignating the Houthis a foreign terrorist organization after the Biden administration removed them. The State Department made it official earlier this month, marking Houthi leaders ripe for assassination. The targets of today's strikes include air defense systems and missile and drone factories, and also include a strike against one of the Houthis' top missile officers. The Houthis are backed by Iran. Many consider them modern-day Barbary pirates. Since the October 7th massacre, they have launched over 100 attacks against commercial shipping. U.S. warships also came into the crosshairs of the Houthis dozens of times in recent years. The Houthis launched anti-ship ballistic missiles and crewed drones at the American warships. None were successful and all were shot down.
Okay, let's look at the comments and we'll get into the alternatives here. Jeff O'Donnell, what's up? Jeff O'Donnell says, I'm just picking random comments in for a second here. There are approximately 37 states that have anti-BDS laws making it illegal to boycott Israel. Unbelievable. That is true. Those White House lawyers went deep into their bag to find out about this old law. Yeah, they went into the bag for that one, man. Who went into the bag back in the day when they used to watch the NBA? Allen Houston would go in his bag a little bit. He was a crafty one. Reggie Miller would do it too. I love Reggie Miller was one of my favorite players. John Stockton would go into his bag. Charles Barkley was famous for that. He would just find a way to score. I mean, a lot of the star players would. Oh, mate, music's still playing. My bad. I thought it should be off now. Thank you, Cyan. Let's take a look at the alternatives. So I went through and I said, hey, I gave it some alternatives, and I said, can you think of any more? What are the alternatives for us to, instead of having war over there 8,000 miles away from me, when we've got issues here? What are the alternatives? The recent military operations against Houthi forces in Yemen have raised important questions about American priorities and how we secure our economic interests abroad. And here are kind of a list of things that I kind of got it to go over. I spoke about this earlier. Diplomatic and economic leverage with Egypt. Egypt obviously relies heavily on the Suez Canal revenue, which contributes to its economy. Rather than military action elsewhere, the United States could use its substantial aid package to Egypt as leverage for guaranteed canal access. Now, I was looking at this from the standpoint of money to Israel. Just personally, I never talked about it because I wanted to know. Oh, actually, it was because of the emergency, not the emergency, just the basically executive order on freezing foreign aid. Trump froze foreign aid, and there was an exception for Israel. So I looked into it, and I was like, well, why is it? And it's obviously because there's that agreement. And you could still, America could renege on it, but there is that whatever 10-year agreement or whatever that's coming up pretty soon in a couple of years, maybe. I forgot when, but that's why they couldn't stop it to Israel for the most part. They could have stopped some of it. Anything outside of that agreement, I forgot the acronym for it. America also has an agreement, to my knowledge, with Egypt. So if they, I didn't ask it that, but I don't know if it could. I think we can do whatever we want, but I don't know if we could just how easy it would be to stop it, what the ramifications of reneging on that is, because nobody would believe you in the future. But currently, the U.S. provides approximately $1.5 billion in annual aid to Egypt, partially because of our military dependence on the Suez Canal and Egyptian airspace. The economic relationship gives America considerable diplomatic leverage without firing a single shot. So I'm no foreign expert, but I mean, that's something you could explore. It's a fair question to ask Donald Trump, right? To say, well, what can you do that? He wouldn't answer it, but it's a fair question. So I'm going to pose these as questions because obviously I don't know all the inside baseball and all that's going on. Multilateral canal security agreements. The United States could pursue an international consortium similar to the Suez Canal Users Association, proposed by Secretary of State John Foster Dulles. That's who Dulles Airport, I believe, is named after. 1956, during the Suez Crisis. So he proposed, let's build together a bunch of people and we'll all kind of keep it clean from pirates or whoever else. That arrangement would create shared interest in keeping the canal open and potentially avoid war because you've got too much power there. Everybody's on the same page. Kind of averting war with strength. Supporting the Iraq Development Road. Let me see. I don't remember what this is. This is where you're getting into perplexity. Recommend these, and I'm not familiar with this, which is good. I want to hear this. America could redirect resources towards supporting Iraq's ambitious development road, 740 miles shipping shortcut between Asia and Europe. That's interesting. That's kind of interesting. Let's look at this here, this video. See if this video is relevant. Let me find the video. Okay, here it is. Okay, so let's watch this. See if this is relevant to talk about the borders and everything over there.
New shipping hub off its southern coast. It's the gateway to the development road, an ambitious plan to construct a new trade route connecting Asia to Europe. If successful, it could serve as an alternative to the choke point at the Suez Canal and potentially provide Iraq with billions of dollars
so the
of
Suez
revenue
Canal's
that's
on the
not
other side
directly
there.
tied to the price.
The Suez Canal, they showed where it was. That's why I was like, why isn't it labeled? Huh? Where are they? They're over. Oh, so they're coming around. Okay.
Canal and potentially provide
Yeah, right
Iraq
up
with
there.
billions of dollars of revenue that's not directly
So I think that is where I was.
tied to the price of oil.
Because of the relative stability in the last few years in Iraq, this project represents an opportunity to gain some autonomy and gain some power.
But along the route is a patchwork of rivaling armed factions, all of whom may want something different out of this project. And there's plenty of competition from its neighbors racing to build their own shortcuts across the Middle East.
You could almost think about it like in the eye
So you
of
see
a
the problem here. This is why, and this is so classic neocon America. Everyone's trying to build access across through here because that will contribute to the dominance of the country. And you have your own trade routes and all that obviously is very advantageous. And the classic American neocon, George Bush and, basically every president, except 2016 Trump and maybe Andrew Jackson, maybe a couple, but their first instinct is let's go to war. Of course, the backbone of all this is the Federal Reserve. You couldn't do this if you couldn't just print money or the money was backed by gold. You couldn't do this. You couldn't afford it. But if you just print the money and you devalue it and you wash it, if you wash the money out of America, then you kind of fight the devalue. That's why they want to make sure that BRICS doesn't rise up. But to keep the value of the dollar, they need to wash it. They need every other country to have to trade in dollars so we can wash our money to kind of help keep inflation down. That's the real way they're trying to keep inflation down. But the American attitude here is the brute force of drop bombs. And I know this is just the Houthis, but it could get to be more than that. It could be Iran. And I thought Make America Great Again was a counter to that, a counter to the classic neocon approach of dropping bombs and going to war. And obviously it is not. Let's get back to this clip.
Least.
You could almost think about it like in the eye of a storm. Things seem stable after years of conflict. The question is, will this continue?
This is Iraq's $17 billion plan to construct a new path forward. Iraq sits at the heart of the global shipping trade between Europe and Asia.
Iraq was a huge trading hub. This is such a historic route.
In the Middle Ages, Baghdad was a key link along the Silk Road. And from the 1900s until the early 2000s, you could travel between Iraq and the rest of Europe by train. But today, Iraq's railways are old and in need of repair, with just a handful of passenger and cargo lines in operation.
Because of all the conflicts and all the wars, there hasn't been much attention given to this.
So remember why we're talking about this, because I want to bring up what are the alternatives. This is looking like it could be an alternative, is to do the, I hate to say it, but it's better than war. It's the soft power Silk Road, that's why China called it Silk Road Initiative, where, hey, we'll build up your railroad tracks, we'll build up a path, as long as we get to use it for free or whatever you work out. That's an alternative.
Of infrastructure.
Up to $33 trillion worth of goods make their way around the world every year. In 2024 alone, $762 billion of goods moved between Asia and Europe. The countries with canals, roads, or railways are able to charge shippers billions of dollars a year just to pass through.
Keep in mind, on the Panama Canal side, Donald Trump and MAGA just cheered giving access on both ends to BlackRock. They're basically Israel-friendly Jews.
Right now, the shortest maritime route between Europe and Asia is the Suez Canal in Egypt. But shippers have had to avoid it in recent years. That's because Houthi rebels have been attacking ships in the nearby Red Sea.
Remember?
The group claims they are making the attacks in solidarity with the people of Gaza.
That instability led Egypt to lose $7 billion in shipping revenues last year. Regardless of the conflict, the amount of goods being shipped around the world is expected to keep rising. All of that has created an opportunity for someone else to step in.
When we talk about Middle East conflict today, the stories are of Israel, Palestine, Iran, Yemen, Syria. Iraq isn't in the headlines. If you walk around Baghdad today or other parts of Iraq, you're seeing restaurants coming out, bridges being built, infrastructure being built. So it is a sort of an aberration of what has been the norm for Iraq for several decades.
The Iraq Development Road would be a parallel road and railway, stretching 740 miles from the newly constructed port in the south up to the northern border with Turkey. From there, it would connect to the wider transit network across Europe. Iraq has already invested billions.
I was distracted. I want to see that again. I need to get my geography game up.
740 miles from the new.
Okay.
The Iraq Development Road would be a parallel road and railway, stretching 740.
Yeah, so you can see, how do you protect that? You're going to have the same problem you have with the Suez Canal. You want options, but there's going to be pirates all across that too.
Miles from the newly constructed port in the south up to the northern border with Turkey. From there, it would connect to the wider transit network across Europe. Iraq has already invested billions on the new Grand Fa port, and it's currently building an underwater tunnel to better connect the port to roads leading to Jordan and Turkey. But the development road is much bigger and more complicated. The government says the project would cost around $17 billion to complete, which would be paid for by a combination of Iraqi and Turkish government money and outside investment.
This seems low. This is probably old. Let me see how old this is. No, it's 2 days ago. Wow.
For the last few years, Iraq's annual budget has been well above $100 billion. Iraq is an incredibly wealthy country because of how much oil and gas it produces. Theoretically, can Iraq afford this? Yes, a few $1 billion is nothing for Iraq's economy in the grand scheme of things. However, if the price of oil goes down, the country will be in disarray and it will be in a crisis.
Turkey, Qatar, and the UAE have all expressed their support for the project so far.
There are many opportunities there. Having a good relationship with such a wealthy country is to gain. This is a way to connect to Europe in a different way.
But there are a lot of countries having a lot of meetings about their own proposed trade routes. The US government is backing the IMEC, which would connect India to Europe via rail, ship, and road.
So you saw Prime Minister Modi just came through right after Netanyahu. Was it Netanyahu? No, it was right after. Yeah, it was right after they met with Netanyahu. It's interesting. I heard Nick talk about it. I've been talking about it too, Nick Fuentes. There seems to be something interesting going on with the Jeets and the Jews. And I've been doing some background history, and it's fascinating to see the history of, I'm like, why are all these Jeets Zionists? Like, not even ideologically Zionists, almost like they just have to be. And there's a history there.
Passing through Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Greece. Meanwhile, Russia wants to connect with India through Iran and Azerbaijan. The Middle Corridor, which already connects China and Southeast Asia to Europe, is being upgraded to increase capacity. And China is funding a series of mega projects under the Belt and Road Initiative to link up with the rest of Asia, Europe, and Africa.
There are many other competing projects and many other countries that have a more coherent government that could have a better chance at such an initiative, first being fulfilled, but also being attractive. A lot of things basically have to go right for this.
How do you protect that going all the way across Asia like that? How do you protect that? I'm wondering if they're thinking about drones or something.
This project to ever be.
But there's not a lot of people in some of those areas. It's very kind of rural or mountainous, depending on which country.
Cheap.
One big challenge to this project's success is whether Iraq is able to maintain its political stability and security.
So the Iraqi state, after the US-led invasion and occupation, is a federal state. And the political system is an ethnic and sectarian power-sharing system where each party is meant to get what they believe their population base gives them. The tensions arise over who gets what. The metaphor that's often used is splitting the pie. Because the budget is so massive, so significant, there's a lot of pie, but there are a lot of parties.
The route presents both logistical and political challenges to construction. Mosul, one of the most populated cities in Iraq, is still rebuilding its infrastructure after it was devastated by a...
So you can see, didn't Trump, you see how this is all tying together? Didn't Trump just off one of the ISIS people? Was that in Iraq? Because isn't ISIS in Iraq? Let me look that up and we'll get to that.
...by the Islamic State. And mapping the route poses a lot of political challenges.
You start going up the road, you're going to go through territories that are controlled not by the government or the prime minister's office as such, but by different armed groups. All of these groups will want a piece of this.
Take Iraqi Kurdistan, for example. It's a semi-autonomous region whose people have long been fighting for independence. Rather than stopping in Erbil, the capital of Iraqi Kurdistan, the development road route avoids it entirely. There are lots of mountains in the region, which make construction difficult. But it could also be seen as a way to exclude the Kurds from economic development.
It's a very strong message. And what it says is we don't have a significantly trustworthy relationship between federal Iraq and the Kurdistan region.
And of course, there's the challenge of corruption, affecting who will actually profit off the new trade route.
Yeah, you have so much land, it's just too much. You can't have control over that much land. That's why you talk about Russia and Ukraine. Russia can't control all of Ukraine. They can't control half of Ukraine. They barely got into Ukraine. I haven't seen the update on what lands they're controlling now, but when we were following it, they were only controlling the very eastern part of it.
The different political leaders and parties that...
Now, Russia could move in and kind of wipe out all of Ukraine, but they couldn't maintain it, though. There's no way.
Took over the government after 2003 have seen this country as an incredibly wealthy opportunity to become rich. And so what that means is, oh, this project for a road here, how do we get a cut?
Yep. You see, I don't know how it ties in, but I do see it here. There was an airstrike 2 days ago, March 13th. Unlived Abdallah Maki Musil al-Rafi, also known as Abu Khadij, I don't even know how to pronounce that, in Al-Anbar province, Iraq. So I don't know where ISIS fits in with this road that we're talking about here, but it sounds to me like it's relevant.
And when all the cuts are given out, very little is actually left for building the infrastructure.
Projects like this take years, even decades to complete. And with so many different groups vying for power in Iraq, there's no shortage of challenges. But if it can pull it off?
Many Iraqis look at the Gulf, for example, and they say, well, we have a lot of oil too. Why is it that we don't have that type of infrastructure or that type of economy? But of course, another side of it is these grand projects won't fix some of the more structural but essential.
Yeah, there's a lot of money, but there's a lot of people skimming it off the top too. I know we make a lot of money, but we've got a lot of corruption to pay off too. CHX said the Jews sucked the Jeets into their orbit on the Haiti Muslims theme. Is that how it broke down? I mean, for the first time this is the first day today, just doing miscellaneous stuff around the house. I was listening to it. My wife probably thinks I'm crazy because I have my phone and I got the volume on. Sometimes I have headphones, sometimes I don't. And I didn't really pick up on the Haiti Muslim part, but that probably was in it. I don't even remember it. I have to listen to it again. Mike Has Bad Knee says, America's the one who overpays for infrastructure projects. Yeah, because we can't even do them. Yeah, the tax, Mike Has Bad Knee says, the attacks in Yemen are bigger than just Israel. Because of the trade routes? Israel's the only... What does it mean that it's bigger than Israel? I don't know. I feel like Israel's running us. I mean, I don't know what is really bigger than Israel at this point. I mean, there are American interests too, but I mean, America doesn't do anything that goes against Israel. It just doesn't happen. I mean, I know they negotiated with Iran, I believe, without Israel, and then Israel leaked it. Yeah. But yeah, let me look at this. I want to look at this. I'm going to play some music for a second. I want to find the tweet that Cyan sent me. Before that, let me play Young Nick. I meant to play this earlier, but let me play that before I move on. I'll probably just move off of Yemen and end. But this is Nick Fuentes. He predicted this from January, is what I heard, maybe even before that. But here's Nick. This was like 10 days ago.
Israel goes in, and the second they do, Hezbollah starts bombing Israel again. The Houthis start bombing Red Sea shipping again. They start harassing U.S. military and commercial shipping in the Red Sea, as well as Israel's allies. At the same time, potentially, Syria is dragged into the conflict as well, given some of the confrontations lately. Once again, it becomes a full-fledged regional war. Now, the question is, the Trump administration is backing Israel going back into Gaza. The Trump administration says we back Israel finishing the job, we furnish them with the weapons they need, and when they violate the agreement that they made and they break the ceasefire, we totally have their back. But what happens when the Houthis bomb another American military vessel? What happens then? It's obvious. The Trump administration goes in hard against the Houthis in Yemen. And it's already happened. Just a couple of days ago, the Houthis shot a Reaper drone, a U.S. Reaper drone out of the sky. And if Israel goes back in, the conflict picks up in the Red Sea. Again, more attacks on commercial shipping, more attacks on naval vessels. Trump will not stand for that. So that means, in one word, escalation. Escalation and mobilization of U.S. assets in the Middle East. The Biden administration declared war on the Houthis and could not fight them effectively because they're very mobile. Their equipment is mobile. So the Houthis will bomb our vessel. By the time we send a missile back at the site where it was launched from, they've already moved it. So we can't hit the moving target. It's too small. It's too mobile. It's too primitive.
Well, let me add to that. It's because Trump and Biden know that there is no stomach from America, no matter how hard Israel puts their boot on our necks. There isn't going to be a push to go full force into Yemen. Because if America wanted to go full force into Yemen and wipe it out, we could. But because we want to kind of stay back and kind of shoot three-pointers all day, even half quarters, firing from afar, you're not really going to be doing much. So I don't really see this doing much, but you did see Trump do airstrikes on land, though, which was, I don't think Biden did that recently. I could be wrong there.
So they couldn't effectively prosecute the war under Biden. That means Trump is going in with a lot of ordnance. That's his style. When Trump came in 2017 and he fought ISIS, they launched so much artillery that it gave the service members brain damage. They don't even talk about this, but there are so many U.S. service members that were in Iraq, in Syria, fighting ISIS. They launched so much artillery at ISIS. We're talking like an unbelievable amount of bombs that the vibrations from the cannons destroyed their brains, gave them permanent brain damage forever because it escalated orders of magnitude from the Obama to the Trump administration. That's how he plays. When he was negotiating with the Taliban, he dropped the mother of all bombs, the largest conventional warhead short of a nuclear bomb. That's non-conventional, but the largest conventional weapon with the highest yield short of a nuclear bomb in the American arsenal. So when Israel goes into Gaza, it's dragging us into a fight in Yemen. When Israel goes into Gaza, Ansar Allah is
and no one argues that. People who say it's only about the passageway through, they don't argue that it's because partially, at least in their eyes, and for me, I think it's more about that Israel. That's what he's saying, is Israel's actions are the ones, that's really why we're there. If we were really worried about the passageway through, what we're doing right now, I don't see that. It's the same thing as what Biden did. I don't really see that as securing it.
Yield short of a nuclear bomb in the American arsenal. So when Israel goes into Gaza, it's dragging us into a fight in Yemen. When Israel goes into Gaza, Ansar Allah is attacking us from Yemen, and we're going into Yemen heavy and hard. When Israel goes back into Gaza, Hezbollah starts bombing Israel again. And when Hezbollah starts bombing Israel, Israel starts bombing Lebanon again.
That's you got to give him credit for that one. I mean, he basically called it exactly how it happened. This is, Cyan sent this earlier, and I'll probably end on this one. Pro-Israel group says it has deportation list and has sent thousands of names. I want to make sure I go slowly enough to make sure that we're really absorbing this. I want to slow down a little bit. I know I'm not a Destiny, I'm not a fast talker, but I think this has to slow down just a little bit. And we're going to go in detail here. Pro-Israel group says it has a deportation list and sent thousands of names to Trump officials. So they're doing, potentially, allegedly, getting a list from Zionists of who to deport from our country. It's a bunch. It's not even just one group. What is this? Is it Beitar? I've never heard of this before. I assume it's pronounced Beitar, U.S., is among far-right groups supporting Trump effort to deport students involved in pro-Palestinian protests. I don't know. This is The Guardian, so they use really funny language. We don't even speak the same language. I don't know why they would call this far-right. Obviously, if they're doing pro-Israel stuff, I don't know how you could even consider that far-right. But they claimed credit for the arrest of, I believe that's Mahmoud. Yep, that's Mahmoud Khalil. So they are the group that they basically are taking credit for it. They're like, hey, we did it. We're proud about it. They're seeking to deport him. We broke that down. I don't even remember the days go by. Was that 2 days ago? Beitar U.S. is one of the number of pro-Israel groups, that means Zionists, that are supporting the administration's efforts to deport international students. This week, Donald Trump said Khalil's arrest was just the first of many to come. That's a bad first one because I don't see anything pressing there as far as like violence or something clearly where you're like, oh, I don't even want to touch this. And that's your first one. You can see why it was his first one then. This is Guardian reporting it. It looks like Trump was told. If you listen to Trump, not on this topic, I don't think, but sometimes you hear Trump. They asked him about pardoning Sam Bankman-Fried, I believe. And I believe Trump said something to the effect of, they haven't told me anything about that yet. He said, wait, Trump, wait, what? It was almost a Biden moment. You might have seen that where he was like, oh, I haven't heard anything about that. Well, no, I'm asking, are you going to pardon Sam Bankman-Fried? What do you mean? Who do you have to go to hear about it? And I don't even mean that as a diss to Trump so much because he's the aura, he's the face, he's the kind of the negotiating chip, and he's got Elon and others doing the work. So even when he's signing the executive orders, and it's almost like he's like, which one is this? He's like, oh, okay. I don't know how much he even knows about the nitty gritty, and what do you really expect him to know? He's the head honcho. He knows enough. I'm not trying to even diss him on this, but I'm just saying the same could apply here, where Elon Musk has a Jewish handler. What's his name? Howard Kutnick or whatever his name is. They called him in the Ashley St. Clair article, they called him the cleanup man. No, he's the AIPAC handler, basically. He's the Jewish handler of Elon Musk, in my opinion. So Elon Musk has the handler. Elon Musk tells Trump what to do. Trump's like, okay, you dropped 300 mil. So I got to do what you got to do. Miriam Adelson dropped whatever she dropped, 150, I forget, 200 mil, easy. And then there's other large donations from Jews and Zionists that Trump got. So he basically has to do, they're his boss. He has to do what they said. If somebody invests $300 million in you, you're going to do what they say. Otherwise, it's kind of like what RFKJ said. It might be difficult to breathe. And Trump literally took the grays to his ear. So you can and he's in charge now, and you haven't heard anything about the grays to the ear, have you? I think Trump knows who did the grays to the ear, and he's doing the bidding of the person that did, or the group that did the grays to the ear, allegedly. That's what makes sense to me. I don't know. Not even reportedly, maybe. How else would you explain Trump taking the grays? Imagine you took a grays to the ear, and you're lucky because you looked up at some immigration chart by the grace of God. Even Trump himself had to acknowledge that. And you are in power to find out who did it, and we haven't heard anything about it. I think you know who did it. I think that's pretty certain in my eyes. And not only do you know who did it, obviously you can't go against who did it. And then it ties into the files not coming out. You just see all the chips allegedly falling in place. and Batar is a group giving him names. And the number one name they gave him was Mahmoud Khalil. They took credit for it. Why was he the number one group? Because he was the articulate one. He was the well-spoken one. He was the non-violent one. So he's the perfect example of the potential likable face that's I never heard of him until now. So this is just my interpretation from just a few days of reading on it, is because when he speaks, he seems reasonable. He doesn't seem like some radical. You would think that the first one that they would get would be some, in the garb and the Palestinian flag and looking like a lunatic and unlived to America and all that. No, we don't see that. No matter how hard Laura Loomer tries, I don't see it. I don't see it. All I can say is his group and all that. That's not him. The Blaze did a whole article about the top 15. I think Cyan showed me that one too. The top 15 reasons why it was good to go after Mahmoud Khalil. And I looked at every single 15. Every one of them was like the group that he was associated with. No, that's not him. You couldn't find a dude that actually did something, because those guys are easy to kind of basically say, okay, whatever. Who cares if they're out? This guy was negotiating with the private university. This guy was kind of likable. This guy was a leader in a face of like a Malcolm X type of way, just not in the same style, but that type of figure where he could rise. If you don't stop him, he could rise into something. You can't have a face of this thing. There's no one face of this thing right now. Can't have that. That's what it looks like to me. So they go after him. They say, hey, Trump, you got to go after this guy. This guy brings legitimacy to the other side. He's the one. So Trump might be like, why would you go after him? There's these other ones. They'd be like, this is the one. Trust me. Just do what you're supposed to be doing. Don't mouth back to us, Goy. This week, Donald Trump said Khalil's arrest was just the first of many to come. Batar quickly claimed credit on social media, kind of like a terrorist group would. Basically, I mean, that's what they are, in my opinion. Batar, which has been labeled an extremist group by the ADL. I did not realize that part. Okay, that's interesting. So that's why they're saying they're on the right. Said on Monday that it had been working on deportations and will continue to do so, but the ADL wouldn't disagree with this, I don't think, and warned that the effort would extend beyond immigrants. Remember, we talked about there's Jays all over the place. There's Reid Hoffman, there's George Soros, there's Miriam Adelson, there's Peter Thiel. They're just all they control it. They're basically on both sides of the argument. They're the judges. They're just everywhere. The federal judges are Jays. I mean, at least a couple of them. They're just everywhere. They're on the right side, they're on the left side, they're on the libertarian side, they're in the federal court side, they're in the cabinet side, they're in the Congress side. I mean, my goodness. 3%? It seems like 90%. So they said that expect naturalized citizens to start being picked up within the month. Well, so let's bring this back again. Let's bring this back again. They've been working. Let me see. Do they have the tweet here? Yeah, they do have the tweet here. Wow. I have not seen this yet. I looked at this article. I didn't read every word, but I scanned through it. I did not see this. This is them. Let's look at this here. Batar Worldwide, menorah there. We told you we have been working on deportations. Who are you? What do you... Beitar Zionist activist movement of Zeev Dabinitsky, founded in 1923, proud, fierce Zionists. They're like, we're more Zionist than the Zionists. We're another level of Zionism. Branches worldwide. Beitarist.org. This is dystopian, yo. This is more dystopian than watching the people say "Unlive to America" in the streets of New York. Way more dystopian.
But we are not those Jews. We are not victims. We are not weak.
Oh, so they dropped an AI voice video. Let's look at this. This is
For
Batar.
generations, our people have faced persecution. We've been told to stay quiet, to blend in, to disappear, to lower our heads. But we are not those Jews.
They're trying to get me banned, man. They try to. I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard. Gosh, please give me the strength. Oh my goodness, I am so close to just crashing out to the point of no return, man. I'm telling you. Because they're doing dog whistles for people who are paying attention. That's exactly how this is written. Now that I'm paying attention, I can see it. They're doing like serious dog whistles at people who challenge them. That's what this is happening here.
For generations, our people have faced persecution.
Why have they, basically, you know, the discussion is why have they been kicked out of damn near every country they've been in? So they call it persecution.
For generations, our people have faced persecution. We've been told to stay quiet, to blend in,
been told to stay quiet, to blend in? They're the subversive ones. They do that. We played the clip with Ben Shapiro saying, sometimes I'm white, sometimes I'm a Jew. We played the clip of Bill Maher saying, sometimes I'm white, no, he didn't say that. He said, Bill Maher said being ethnically Jewish is not a thing. Literally. This guy has a show on HBO, literally said that. It's a religion. Literally said that. Nobody told him to do that. It's just subversive. It's just being subversiveness. It's just being subversive.
to blend in, to disappear, to lower our heads.
Nobody said that. Who said that?
But we are not those Jews. We are not victims. We are not weak. We are not silent.
They're telling you they're not victims as they tell you they're victims. Whoa. This clip starts from Batar says, our people have faced persecution. We've been told to stay quiet, told to blend in, told to disappear, told to lower their heads.
Victims. We are not weak. We are not silent. The world tells us that Jews don't fight, but they have forgotten or
Who says that? They definitely fight. That's not my take. Let's just make that clear.
never even knew our history. Joseph Trumpeldor, a Jewish warrior, gave his life defending Jewish land. His last words.
These are the people telling Donald Trump who to deport or not. You think I'm going to support this? They might be calling Donald Trump right now. We scanned the interwebs, and there's this black guy who's talking about us.
It is good to die for our country. His spirit did not die, it became Betar. Betar was founded by Zeev Jabotinsky, a leader who saw the truth before others. He warned that Jews needed to be strong, armed, and unafraid. He taught us, no one will save the Jews except the Jews.
This is what MAGA represents now. Wow. Unbelievable.
Betar members fought in the Warsaw Ghetto. They defied the British mandate. Betar fought the Nazis. They built the foundations of Israel's defense.
You see why the Yahtzees have to be framed in a certain specific light. It's very important to the narrative.
Not just a youth movement, we are a legacy, the legacy of Israel. Today the fight is different, but the enemy is the same. They come from within and from without. They want you to be the diasporatic good Jew. They want.
Oh my gosh, they're literally trying to trigger me. I'm gonna have to log off, man. I'm not gonna be able to make it with that. I'm not gonna be able to make it to listen to Batar say that they want you to be the good Jew. They're literally taking the other point and flipping every single one of them. What do we say? They want you to be a good goy. Trump's just being a good goy. They flip it to say say that you want them to be a good Jew.
Diasporatic good Jew. They want you afraid. They want you silent. They want you to believe that being Jewish means being weak and subservient. Not on our watch. Betar is here, as it always has been, and we are ready. Jewish pride is not just words, it's action.
Does this seem American to you?
Leadership, strength, It's being Joshua, King David, Bar Kokhba, Yair, Trumpeldor, Rabin, Bibi, and Yoni. If you feel it in your soul, the fire, the responsibility, the pride, then you already know. Betar is your home.
Not one American flag that I've seen in this. Because it's supposed to be an American group, I believe. Oh, it says worldwide here. No. No, the tag is Betar_USA. So it's conflicting messages there. But in the Guardian article, it said American. Obviously, this has nothing to do. It doesn't matter what they say. Obviously, this is had nothing to do with American. Nothing. America. So this whole video looks like it was made, obviously, with AI. The voiceover is pretty well put together for what we can do with AI. Very cheap, you can do it too. Daily Wire did an all AI video. They're going to have to get the noses right, though. They don't have the noses right.
For generations, our people have...
Stop. I'm not in the mood. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I really don't even know what to say anymore. I'm done. I'm done with that topic. That topic's over. I'm done. Whew. No crimes committed by him. Cyan, $2 super chat. Thank you by Mahmoud Khalil. Other than wrong thing. I never even seen him. I never saw like any strong negative American statement from him. People are trying to dig up stuff on his wife now. I guess there was a speech and stuff. I'll have to listen to that, but she's not even the one. I mean, she's an American citizen though. So maybe it's because of the wife too. I don't know. Maybe the wife has a presence too. She obviously has some kind of presence. No crimes committed by him other than wrong thing. That's true. Jordan Lott says, yo, let's protect brother Dr. Shiva at all costs. Dr. Shiva is legendary. Let's check in on Dr. Shiva. I haven't seen what's going on with him in a minute. I'm just going to go to his feed. That's the homie. That's a Jeet we can all love. Dr. Shiva, I adore. Let's see here. He has the email thing still up there. Let's see what his timeline looks like. I don't know what that is. Let's see. He does talk about health a lot. He's very, very big into health. I mean, that's the number one thing he talks about. Immune boosting activities. He has a great community. I mean, he has diehard, like, people that rock and roll with him. And I like his message. You just look at his messaging here. If you don't know Dr. Shiva Adore, he was married at one point, now divorced to in my opinion, the beautiful Fran Dresser, however you pronounce her name. The one that used to be on, my memory is so bad right now. She had the nasal, that was a fake. Was that fake? I think that was fake when she did the nasal thing, but that was a good show back in, the 90s? Whatever the name of the show was, I completely forget, and I don't want to hold stuff like that in my memory. But she was on the show, a very famous sitcom. Decide to liberate yourself. It's a very empowering message. He's like, there's no Messiah coming. That's always been his message. Give you information, and with more information, people will rise up. He was a Trump supporter, very similar arc to me. He was a Trump supporter and said, hey, this stuff's not adding up. He goes to the truth, and then he crashes out on Israel because he follows the truth where it leads. I'm sorry, guys. A lot of the ones who follow the truth in my opinion, where it leads to its logical conclusion, take it to Israel, and I don't know where they go beyond it from that. His way that he goes beyond it is like, let's talk about health. Everything on there is about health. I didn't even realize he talked about health that much on there. And Jordan Lott brings him up because I consider him a libertarian. And he was open to it. He was like, yeah, I guess I am in a way. He's just like, I just do me. I like that. I appreciate it. He's like, he wasn't trying to be a libertarian or anything. I just do what I do. Wasn't trying to be a Republican or MAGA or whatever. These are my beliefs. I'm just looking at seeing what's out there. Yeah, I'm going to end it there. Appreciate everybody stopping through. I think I made it through the live without them taking it down. It's being broadcast on X too, just in case. So we still got a stream going. Still got some to go, some to kind of look forward to, just in case it gets demonetized or banned. They probably don't even need to demonetize. I don't have enough. What's the point? They probably like, yeah, we were going to demonetize it, but there's really no point to it, so we're good. But I appreciate everybody. I'm going to be out. Have a good night. I might go live again tomorrow. Who knows? I'm trying to build up a library to clip stuff up because I won't be able to go live upcoming at some point here, so I'm going to build up a library so I just clip stuff up. I'm out, y'all. Peace. Oh, wow. You went to the car show. It was awesome. Saw Megamorph. What is Megamorph? I apologize. I don't know what that is. Megamorph? Is that like a monster car? I'm just guessing. I have no idea what that is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm looking. I got more than I bargained for. What are you referring to here? Jordan Lott, what are we referring to? Because okay, I see a Megamorph here. Okay, they had some type of adult anime. When I searched Megamorph, I'm like, what is that? Megamorph is a comic book series. Oh, is that from Marvel? I've never heard of that. Okay, that's cool. Yo, thanks a lot. See ya. Peace. Y'all know me.
to today's roasting session, defining based with some spicy Melanie Mac critiques.
Oh, a lot of groypers hate me. A lot of people even who like me disagree with me on this. But what I just read here is incredibly based.
You don't know what based means. Like, you have no idea. Why is this woman saying based? Do you know what based means? Based means misogynistic, racist, and anti-Semitic. That's what based means. That's what based has always mean. That's what based will always mean. That's what it means. You don't know. Yeah, Donald Trump saying shalom is not based. What are you talking about? You don't know what these words mean. Get out. Leave.
I don't get how people could think this is wrong. But just saying, I don't buy into the whole groyper thing. I don't like it. I've tried looking into the groyper thing. I tried seeing, let me just.
Yeah, we're good. You know what? Melanie Mac, we're good. We're good. Thank you. We've seen your application. Okay, we've reviewed it. We've looked it over. We've checked your qualifications. We'll pass. We'll pass this. Well, you know, we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. We'll call you back, actually. Okay? Yeah, we'll call you back. We're good, I think. You know, we looked divorced, 40, ugly, you know, e-girl. We've looked. We're good. A Protestant. I mean, there's a laundry list. You know, Judaizer. We're okay. We're okay. Thank you. Thank you for expressing interest in our organization. But unfortunately, we're going to be fielding some other candidates at this time. But thank you. We appreciate your interest. You know, it was a delight and a pleasure to receive your application. And we're going to be exploring other possibilities, though. So thank you, though. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's insane. Like, she acts like we want her. Like, nobody wants you, sweetie, okay? Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. Okay? I've looked at, yeah, you know what, I feel like this is what we've missed. This is what we've missed, chat. You know what the groypers have been missing this whole time? You know, granted, you know, Nick on a generational run has completely red-pilled the entire right wing, you know, and you can look at it. Ian Carroll's going on Joe Rogan, Nick Ye24, and Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, Elijah Schaefer, W after W after W. And you know what? The one thing that we were missing? A 40-year-old woman who acts like she's 12 years old and dresses like a man with sleeved-up tattoos, who goes to a laser light show church and bashes Catholicism because she's an idiot. That's what we've missed. You know, that was the piece that, like, Anti-Semitism Inc. was missing. Was a 40-year-old washed up, tattooed e-girl with no husband, divorced. Her husband, I think somebody told me this. I don't even know if this is true. Her ex-husband was gay, apparently. Which, honestly, if I had to get married to Melanie Mac, I'd turn gay too. I would be like, wow, cock seems pretty appealing over this. You know. I would be like, dang, you know what? I think I would literally rather suck dick than get with this. Okay? Because you're annoying. You will act like a 12-year-old. You're 40. Like, please grow up. Please grow up. Okay?
This guy's balls, please.
Virginian sent $3. Cock seems pretty appealing. Beardson Beardly 2025.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Look at this video and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Looking pretty good. Being gay, looking pretty good, honestly, watching this video. If I could be real. Being gay, being a homosexual, I could see, I used to never really get it. I used to, like, why would you ever want to, that's so gross. You know what I mean? That's the grossest thing. And then I watch a Melanie Mac video and I'm like, nah, I get it now, man. I kind of get it, to be honest with you.
Like, oh no, there's a Jew under the bed. There's a Jew could, oh, we're all held back because of the Jews. It just sounds like BLM people to me. It's just like, oh, them white people are keeping us down. Oh, we can't.
What are you even? Here's the thing. Here's the difference. I mean, by the way, terrible analogy. Because guess what, Melanie? The Jews created BLM. You idiot. Oh, this is just like BLM. Oh, you mean another Jewish invention? No way. Are you kidding me? You're an idiot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the difference is between BLM complaining that, like, whites run everything is that when BLM says that whites run everything, they're actually talking about Jewish people. But because Jewish people mask themselves as white, we get blamed for everything. But as it turns out, they do kind of run a lot of stuff. And you're ignorant if you don't acknowledge that.
Succeed because of the white people. Same thing with these people who blame everything on Jews. It's just like, bro, just another one of those BLM types.
Wow. Do you have the IQ? Are you like 5 years old? Can someone tell me this? Like, and I'll dial it back a little bit. Is she actually retarded? Does she have like a learning disability? Like, I feel like I'm watching this clip, and I feel like I'm picking on somebody with a learning disability now at this point. Like, she's, like, slurring her words. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm, like, punching a 10-year-old in the face right now. And could you imagine for being a grown man watching this woman? Just imagine what that looks like for a second. I'm going to draw you a picture, okay? I'm going to draw you a picture of what the average Melanie Mac fan looks like, okay? There's your average Melanie Mac fan. I guarantee you. This is the person that's watching Melanie Mac streams on the daily. On the daily. She's got the subscriber. They've got the bell clicked. This is your average Melanie Mac fan right here.
I can give you the substance.
Okay.
He's pissed. He feels like they're not doing mass deportations.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
he actually wants them to do mass deportations.
And he's an actual anti-Semite. But that means he's like pissed about the, crackdown, the alleged Marco Rubio crackdown on quote unquote anti-Semitism, which of course is just they're cracking down on people who are critical of Israel.
Yeah,
so,
and he does he focuses quite a bit on just how cucked Trump is to Israel. Which, to be fair, that's 100% true, but also his objection stems from legit anti-Semitism.
Yeah, he's got the right position for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reason, exactly.
It's just a fucking shame because Nick Fuentes is so talented. Like,
he's
you don't
funny.
have to
he's
be.
Funny.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to be a Nazi to be successful. Like, just don't be a Nazi. Just actually have if he had just actually had good politics, he still would have been wildly successful because he's talented.
You know what he reminds me of? He's like the Jimmy Dore of the right. Circa 2018.
I had that same thought
because he's like I'm the purist, I'm the most right wing, I'm the most Nazi, and I'm going to criticize this administration from the pure Nazi position, right?
Yes.
But he's also entertaining, funny, right? And that was sort of like what Jimmy Dore was doing in 2018, where I'm holier than thou, purer than thou, and I'm going to rip the Democrats from the left.
Yeah.
But the thing is, now Jimmy Dore, he hyper focuses on Democrats and liberals and leftists and shits on them all the time and never shits on Republicans. It'll be interesting if that's what happens in reverse with Nick Fuentes, where he only shits on the Republicans and Trump nonstop and almost gives people the misimpression that he's somehow more on the left. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a little bit of that going on with Richard Hanania. Who's yeah,
he's a weird one.
One of these white guys, and you're really into this ignorant black people shit, you should just feel like a bitch. You should just feel really pathetic and stupid. You want to know why? Because someone like Cardi is an idiot. This guy has nothing profound to say. He's not an artist, contrary to what people say. This is just a completely vapid, shallow, ignorant thug. And the stuff that he makes is stupid. You know, these sounds that he makes, beep, boop, beep. It's fucking stupid. And if you think that's cool, you're a fucking faggot. If you think that's cool, you're a little bitch. You're like a little white bitch. And honestly, I can't respect anybody that's into that stuff. Now, some black people make good music, okay? Marvin Gaye makes good music. Luther Vandross makes good music. Kanye makes good music. Cardi, who made Cardi, like Cartier. What's his real name? I'm not even gonna call him Cardi. What's his real name? Playboy Cardi. Jordan Carter. Yeah, Jordan Carter is just a stupid thug. He's just an ignorant thug who makes garbage. Makes stupid fucking noises. That's not music. All his songs are just, you know, it's like if you... It's like if you gave like a primitive specimen money and a gun.
Nick was about to say, hey, Nick, why did he self-edit?
And money and a gun. All his songs are just, you know, it's like if you...
That's a self-edit. Nick's like, oh, I'm not in the mood to go there.
You know, it's like if you... It's like if you gave like a primitive specimen money and a gun. I got a watch. I got a watch. I got to look at my watch. Look at my jewelry. I got jewelry. I got a gun. Like, shut the fuck up. We're white, okay? we're white. We're better than that. We don't need that, okay? We don't need to be, you know, crouching around on the ground, jumping around, flashing jewelry, flashing guns, cars, sex and guns and jewelry. Shut the fuck up. You know, we're conquerors, we're explorers, we're pioneers, we're inventors. We read, okay? We read, we write, we think with our minds. And you are preoccupied with, you know, that kind of stuff. So anybody that's really into that kind of music, I just, as a white guy, people say, yo, Cardi, yo, Lil whatever. It's just pathetic. You know, we gotta.
Lil Wayne's dope though.
Gotta move past that. At a certain point, you gotta move past that. So, yeah, not a fan. I don't like it. Not a fan. I don't like it. Some of his songs are okay, but for a Catholic to wake up every day and say Christ is king. Christ is your king. He's my king. He's the king. It's Christ himself. It is not just some vague God. It's a particular one. That's a very quick way to identify who's with us, who's a part of the body of the church, who's a part of the body of Christ, and who's outside of it for one reason or another. And Christ is king is something that actually Jewish people cannot participate in. And if we're to say that the country should be run by Christians, that's also something that Jews actually can't participate in. And by the way, when we say Christ is king, it highlights the origins of Christianity, which is this. Jesus Christ, who is the center of the Christian religion, arrived saying, I was sent by God. I'm the son. This is what Jesus said. I'm the son of God. I am the king. The Jews didn't agree. Some of them did, but not all of them did. Some of the Jews agreed. The disciples and the early church, they agreed. The Jewish authorities that lived in the Holy Land at the time did not. And not only did they not agree, but they hated Jesus, and they specifically hated Jesus because he said that. And they felt insulted and humiliated because what they were expecting was a real king. They were expecting what was conventionally thought of as a king, or historically was the king of the Jews. They were expecting a king like David. They were expecting a powerful political and military leader who would throw off the Roman Empire and make Israel a powerful nation. And what they got was somebody preaching an eternal spiritual kingdom. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. They didn't like that. They got somebody saying the commandment is to love everyone like you love yourselves. The person is meant to serve. And they said, I don't want a suffering Messiah. I don't want a servile king. And they said, we don't like this king very much at all. This king isn't going to make us the most powerful nation in the region, in the world. This king isn't going to make us independent. This king isn't going to make us feel good. This sucks. And that is why they told on him to the Roman authorities and had him killed. That's what Pontius Pilate said. They say you're the king. So you say. That's the plaque above the cross. That's why he has a crown of thorns. Here's your crown, king. That's what they said. And so that contention, that was Jesus's central contention. That is what got him killed. That is why the Jews informed on him and lied about him. That is why they hated him. It was the nature of that claim. That is the essence of the contention of the Christian religion. Christ doesn't come and say, hey, I'm a really good guy. Hey, I'm somebody that said some very wise things. He doesn't come and say, hey, I'm like one among other representatives of some generic God. He said, no, I'm the king. And I rule a king that's not a kingdom that's not of this world. And so when somebody comes forward and says Christ is king, it is reigniting a 2,000-year-old debate. It is reigniting a 2,000-year-old conflict. And there's a reason, by the way, that the modern Jews hate when this is said. It's not just that they can't say it because they don't believe it. It burns them up inside because it reminds them of the Catholic kings that oppressed them, that forcibly converted them, that expelled them. It reminds them of how they were expelled from the Holy Land. It reminds them of their unrealized messianic prophecy, because the Jews believe that their Messiah will come when they're in Israel, rebuild their temple, and make them rule over the nations. Instead, they got a king that said it's for everybody. I'm here to serve everybody, and the kingdom's for everybody, and actually the temple is over, and actually this whole thing is over. You're out of here, and the Jews were expelled. And so when we say Christ is king, it's not something that they just can't participate in. It is something that they hate. It is something that actually hardens their heart. And that's not God doing that. That is their pride doing that. It brings to the surface that intense racial, religious pride, which is, I won't serve the nations. I won't serve. I won't obey. It echoes what Satan says, which is, I will not go along with God. And so every time someone says Christ is king, it fills them with wrath, pride, anger. That's not my God. That's not my king, not my Messiah. My Messiah is my Messiah is going to make me powerful. That's not what we were promised. That's the real reason they hate to hear this.
Finish it.
I'm here to tell you that Israel is not the king of the United States.
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to After Show Carnage.